Bright Cutie. Every student matters.
Hello students, today we will be taking up chapter 9 from your English reader textbook. The name of the chapter is Desert Animals. Have you ever been to a desert? Well, what are the famous deserts? I am aware of Thar Desert, Sahara Desert. Do you know any more? What do you know about deserts? What kind of vegetation is there? What plants, what crops? How many animals, what kind of animals stay there? Have you ever thought that we know that the deserts are so dry, so how do the plants survive? How do the animals survive there? Have you ever thought so? So before we start the chapter, we will read the snippet to understand what is the chapter all about. Can you name some desert areas in India and the world? Who do you think lives in such areas? So we will understand in the chapter what are the conditions of the deserts and what kind of animals or who exactly lives in the desert. Let's read the chapter now. Deserts are the driest places on earth and sometimes go for months or even years without rain. So desert is that particular area of earth which goes without rain, where there is no rainfall for a very, very long time. Sometimes for years, sometimes for few weeks, for months and for years at a stretch. These are the driest places where there is no water. But even the desert animals cannot survive without water or for long periods in the scorching sun, so they have had to find different ways of coping with the harsh conditions. Now they're telling us that even the desert animals, for example camels, even they cannot survive for a very, very long time without water. So, man-made resources were kind of introduced. They had to invent some kind of solutions so that this problem can be sorted out. For example, Gorbals spent the hottest part of the day in cool underground burrows. Now, Gorbals, what are Gorbals? They are mouse-like desert rodents with long hind legs. So, Gorbals, they are the desert animals. They look like, they are rodents and they look like mouse. They have long hind legs. Hind is in backward legs. So, these animals, these Gorbals, when it is extremely dry and it's extremely hot, where do they go? They make their houses in the burrows. Burrows as in the house of a Gorbal is called a burrow. The holes you can say. So they make underground burrows and they go and stay there. So they are like cool. Of course, it is underground. It is up. It is obvious that it will be cool. So Gorbals, they spend the hottest part of the day in cool underground burrows. And strange insects called darkling beetles are experts at catching drops of moisture on their legs, then lifting them into the air until the drops trickle down into their mouths. Now, this is a very new thing and a very interesting fact that we all would be reading today. There is an insect which is called as darkling beetles. These are the beetles which are called as darkling beetles. They have a tendency, they have a power to catch the moisture in the air. Whatever water droplets are there in the air, these darkling beetles, they can catch that moisture on their legs and then they can lift up their leg till that moisture drips down in their mouth. Not all deserts are endless seas of rolling sand dunes. Deserts are supposed, they are called to be the endless seas of sand. Wherever you see, it is just sand. But not all deserts are like that. Sand dunes, we all know, heaps of sand formed by the wind, like this and this. These are sand dunes. So, all the deserts, they are not the vast seas of these sand dunes. Some are rocky or pebbly and dotted with small bushes, while others are sprinkled with colorful flowers during the spring. Few deserts are such that they have some kind of bushes in the in some spring season probably. Some deserts are rocky and pebbly where there are a lot of stones and rocks. Some deserts they even have colorful flowers in the spring season. Though it sounds kind of unimaginable, because the deserts we understand, we imagine are just the wide sea of sand, but they are telling us that all the deserts are not same. Few deserts even have bushes, and they also have colorful flowers in the spring season. There are more than 2,300 different kinds of snakes around the world, ranging from just 15 centimeters long to more than 11 meters. They are also telling us that there are almost 2,300 different kind of snakes. So the species for snakes are more than 2,300, and they range from 15 centimeters to 11 meters. The smallest snake is 15 and the biggest snake is almost 11 meters long. Most snakes are quite harmless, but there are a few that are so poisonous they can kill a human being with just one bite. They are telling us most of the snakes, they are harmless, they don't harm you, but few of them, they are so venomous. Venomous or poisonous, these are the synonyms. Venomous is a word which comes from venom. Venom means poison. Like poisonous comes from poison, so venomous comes from venom. So few snakes are such, they are so poisonous that they can just kill you in one single bite. In just one bite, they can kill you. They are so poisonous. The poison can kill you. Most snakes lay eggs, but there are many which give birth to their young. Now, we all have read about reproduction. So, most of the snakes, they lay eggs, but few snakes are such that they don't lay eggs, but they give birth to their young ones. In the dry, rocky deserts of America lives a rather evil-looking snake with a very bad reputation. Now, we all are reading here that in the dry, rocky deserts of America, America has a desert which is dry. Of course, it ought to be dry, since it's a desert, and it's rocky. It is very pebbly, it's stony, it's rocky. So in America, this kind of desert is there, and an evil species, as in a very venomous kind of snake lives there, which has a bad reputation. It's evil looking, it's very dirty to look at, dangerous to look at. Bad reputation means probably it's very poisonous, probably it's very dangerous and scary. Its frightening rattle can be heard as far as 30 meters away, and it can strike with lightning speed. The kind of noise, the hissing sound which this snake makes, or the rattling as in the way it moves, the sound of its movement, that can be heard even from 30 meters distance. If you are standing at a distance of 30 meters, if the snake is hissing or, coming towards you, or it's moving, you can hear its sound. And it can strike with a lightning speed, as in its movement is so fast that it can just come to you in a second, that fast. But the rattlesnake or rattler, as it is sometimes called, prefers to avoid people if it possibly can. Now, this evil-looking snake, or a rattler you can say, it prefers to avoid people. It prefers to stay in the jungle. It doesn't come up to the community where the civilization is. So it stays away from the people. It holds its tail upright and rattles the end whenever it is disturbed, in the hope that the intruder will go away. Now, to scare the intruder, be it some animal or be it a human being, to scare the intruder in the hope that the intruder will go away, what it does in its protection, it uprights its tail, as in it holds its tail in an upright position to scare the intruder whenever it is disturbed. However, okay, so upright means standing straight. So if the snake is like this, with its tail, it will upright its tail. It will make its tail, stand in an upright position, a straight position. However, if its warnings are ignored and it feels threatened, it will coil ready to bite. But on the other hand, if it thinks that it is in threat, if the intruder is not going away, the warning of the snake is not being taken seriously, then it coils and it gets ready to bite. But the rattler itself cannot hear the noise its own tail makes. The rattler, when it moves when it moves its tail, we all can hear that sound even from 30 meters distance. But the rattler itself, it cannot hear that sound, the sound which the tail is making. Like most snakes, it hears things through vibrations in the ground. Like all the snakes, in fact most of the snakes in the world, the snakes hear the vibrations which are there on the ground. They don't have ears, so they sense the vibrations on the ground. If a person walks nearby the snake, can feel the movement. If a person is walking towards the snake can, understand, or it can make out the movement. But if the same person were to shout, it would not hear a thing. But if that same person is shouting, if the person is moving, so the person is in the contact of the ground, so the movement is there, the vibration is there on the ground, the snake will understand, it will hear. But if the person is just standing and it is shouting, the person is shouting, the snake will not hear a single thing. Rattlesnakes are very common and widespread animals living right across the American continent from Canada to Argentina. So this rattlesnake, it's a very, very common found species in America, and it is almost found in the continent of America, ranging from Canada to Argentina. They feed on a variety of prey as in their food. Whatever thing, I'll not say thing, prey is for mostly the living beings. So whatever the living being the snake is to feed upon, that's called a prey. They feed on a variety of prey, including mice, voles, rats, chipmunks, and many other small animals. So these rattlesnakes, they feed upon rats, mice, chipmunks. What are chipmunks? They are small ground squirrels having light and dark stripes. Okay, so chipmunks are kind of squirrels which have light and dark stripes on their body, and they are ground squirrels. What are voles? Voles are small plant-eating rodents. Rodents which eat plant. So snakes, these rattlesnakes, they generally feed upon mice, voles, rats, chipmunks, and many other small animals. Rattlesnakes kill their prey with venom. Rattlesnakes, they bite, and the prey is killed because of their poison. Venom as in poison. Like all snakes, they swallow the unfortunate animal whole. Like most of the snakes, when they bite and the animal is dead or the prey is dead, they don't bite it into pieces, they swallow it whole. Few snakes have to eat more than once a week, and some such as the larger pythons, can survive for a year or more without eating. There are few snakes which have to eat more than once in a week, as in probably 2 or 3 times in a week. But the larger snakes like pythons, they can survive even for 1 year without eating. Can you imagine how much storage a python has in its body? Python can store its prey and keep on digesting probably for almost a year, that it doesn't have to eat for almost a year. Now, mongooses like to hunt together, but they always keep a lookout for dangerous predators nearby. Now, there is this animal called as mongoose. They like to hunt together, but they always keep a lookout for the dangerous predators nearby. Predators means an animal naturally preying on others. Predators means, you can say a tiger, a lion, or any, for that matter, wild animal, which is, looking for the prey. So they are predators. So mongoose, they keep a lookout. They keep a very vigil as in strong watch for the predators nearby its vicinity, poking their noses into holes, overturning rocks with their paws, and scratching the ground with their sharp claws. Banded mongooses are very amusing animals to watch. Now, what does mongoose do to sense for their prey, for their predators, or even to sense for their prey where to hunt upon? So what do they do? They overturn rocks, as in they just overturn the rocks. They poke their noses into holes. Wherever they would find holes, they will, poke their noses. They will overturn the rocks with their paws, scratch the ground with their sharp claws. With their claws, they will scratch the ground. Banded mongooses are very amusing animals to watch. What does amusing means? Interesting or enjoyable. It is very interesting to watch a mongoose, do all these things. A common sight in many parts of Africa, they travel in groups of about 20 to forage for beetles, millipedes, and other small creatures. So in the parts of Africa, these mongoose, they travel in groups of 20s probably, and in the search of forage means in the search of food. So these mongoose, they travel in groups of 20 mostly, and they travel in the search of food. And what is their food? Their food are beetles, millipedes, and other small creatures. Now this is a mongoose. They like to hunt together, keeping in touch whenever they go out of sight behind rocks or bushes by twittering or calling. They hunt together. They do not hunt solo. They do not hunt single. They go together in a group to hunt. And if they lose contact with their group, how do they make contact? How do they communicate? They make that calling sound or twittering sound, and they hide behind rocks or bushes so that they cannot be seen. And then they make these calling or twittering sounds to communicate with their group. Always on the lookout for danger, hawks, eagles, and large snakes, they warn one another with a special alarm call if they spot anything suspicious. Imagine how intelligent these mongoose are. If they spot something suspicious like a hawk or an eagle or a snake or any kind of threat, if they sense, they make a sound which is called an alarm sound to warn the other mongoose amongst the group. Mongooses are famous for being able to kill snakes without getting hurt themselves. We all know that mongoose are faster and quicker than snakes, and when the mongoose and the snake fight, always the mongoose wins. So we all know that mongoose can kill snakes without getting hurt. Their reactions are so fast that they can dodge each time the snake strikes. Mongoose reaction are so quick, they are so fast that they dodge each time. Dodge means to move quickly to avoid its enemy. So the mongoose, it dodges so fast exactly at the moment when the snake strikes. They continually make a nuisance of themselves until after a while, when the snake gets tired, they quickly dive in for the kill. By all this dodging, they make a nuisance of themselves. What does this mean? Nuisance means to embarrass or let down themselves. So both of them, they keep on fighting with each other, and by the time the fight is almost about to end, which means the snake is getting tired, that time the mongoose takes the opportunity and strikes the snake immediately for the kill. All the female mongooses have their kitten at about the same time. So all the female mongooses, they give birth to their kittens almost at the similar time. They are raised by the whole group in a den made inside an old termite mound or hollow log. The little kittens, they are raised up by the whole group of the mongoose inside a termite mound or a hollow log. Now, what is a termite mound? Termite mound is a small structure which is made up of soil, dung and termites' saliva. So that structure which are abandoned by the termites, or the hollow logs as in the hollow wooden barks, you can say, branches, logs. So the mongooses, the little kittens of the mongooses, they are raised in these structures. When most of the adults are out looking for food, one or two males stay behind to stand guard until the others return for the night. So when most of the adults are out looking for food, when they are hunting for the whole group, one or two male members, the male mongooses, they stay behind to look at the kittens and to stand guard, to guard them till the whole group returns back. Another animal which lives in the desert is the camel. So another animal which is commonly found in the desert is the camel. Camels were first domesticated by people many thousands of years ago. What is the meaning of domesticated? Domesticated means tamed or kept as a pet or kept on a farm. So camels were for the first time they were domesticated by the people almost thousands of years ago. In the wild, camels usually live in small groups of up to 30 animals. So when they form groups in the wild, they form a group of almost 30 camels there are almost 30 camels in a group. Camels have long shaggy winter coats to keep warm and shorter tidier coats in the summer to keep cool. So in winters they have shaggy. What is the meaning of shaggy? Shaggy means thick and untidy. So in winters they have thick and untidy coat over their body to keep their body warm, and in summers they have shorter and tidier coats just to keep their body cool. A thirsty camel can drink as much as 30 gallons of water. That's about 500 full glasses in just 10 minutes. Can you actually imagine that? Well, if a camel is thirsty, it can actually drink 30 gallons of water, which is approximately 500 glasses of water in just 10 minutes. Normally, however, it gets all the moisture it needs from desert plants and can survive for up to 10 months without drinking any water at all. We all have heard this fact that camels can actually survive for a very long time without water. So actually they can survive for almost 10 months without drinking water, and the moisture which they need in their body, it actually comes from the desert plants. So there are two kinds of camels. The first one is known as dromedary, which has just one hump, and the other kind is called as Bactrian camel, which has two humps. The humps help the animal to survive in the desert by acting as storage containers. These humps, they act as storage containers for the camels. But what do they store? We'll read it further. But they don't store water, as many people wrongly believe. They are full of fat. We have always heard that the humps of the camels, they store water, but it is not true. The humps of the camel, they store fat and not water. This fat nourishes the camels when food is scarce. So when the food is not there, when there is a scarcity of food, this fat from the humps of the camels is used to nourish the camel. If they have nothing to eat for several days, their humps shrink as the fat is used up. So when they do not have anything to eat for many days, their humps shrink. Shrink means to become smaller or make something smaller. So here it means to become smaller. The humps, they shrink, they become small, and because the fat is used up. There are many other ways in which camels are adapted to desert life. There are many other ways to which the camels are adapted. Adapted means to become familiar with a new situation and to change your behavior accordingly. So the camel's body and their behavior pattern changes according to the desert climate. Their mouths are so tough that even the sharp thorn cannot pierce through. The mouth of the camel, it is so tough that even a sharp thorn, it cannot pierce through. Pierce through means to make a hole in something with a sharp pointed object. Even a thorn cannot cut through the camel's mouth. They are so tough.